trade a little events and South Florida traffic is become unbearable, as we say. So I apologize a little bit. So well, but thank you very much for joining us this evening, and Sean, thank you very much for obviously getting everyone together this evening to talk about one of my favorite subjects with Viva. Can everyone hear me? Okay.
Yes.
All right, perfect, perfect, perfect. Well, Viva Cruises, Viva River Cruises, we affectionately know it as well. We're a fairly new company, and I'm glad you're here tonight to learn a little bit about us. We are an all-inclusive river product on European waterways. Essentially, what that means, I'll kind of break it down a little bit and answer any questions you may have. But essentially, what we are is it really is all inclusive, with the exception of probably like a spa service. But it's a really, really great value-oriented product. We've got some great new ships. I'm going to show you some pictures of the Viva 2, which we'll have a great program next year on as far as the Danube Panorama. But we are a company that's been around for about 5 years, to give you a little bit of an idea. And in those 5 years, we kind of started out with just a couple of ships, and now we're up to 8. And we expect to bring on a new one for every year for the next couple of years. So we've got some expansion. We're on most rivers, the Danube, which obviously you'll have a chance to see if you sail with us next May. The Rhine, we get on to France on the Seine, and also basically the Rhone out of Lyon. Next, well, for 25, it seems like, wow, I tell you, 24, 25, these years just begin to fly by at some point. But 25 will actually be on the Porto, so we'll be sailing in Portugal as well. So there's a little bit of expansion going on for us, and we hope to continue that into 26 with some new rivers as well. But yeah, we really we pride ourselves on really trying to over deliver, and I know a lot of people say that. But we really basically try to make it an action point rather than just a talking point. When you take a look at our price points, we think we have some of the best in the industry, and we think we deliver one of the best value products. Our ships are either brand new as the Viva 2, which will be in the Danube next year, and I'll show some pictures on it in just a minute, or they've been extensively refurbished, so we've got a really modern fleet. We, even though us as a brand have only been around for about 5 years, our parent company has been plying the European waters for about 50 years. Actually, this is well, last year was the 50th anniversary of basically the startup of our parent company called Scylla. And they've got about 40 river ships as a group. So even though we're a little young, we're part of a big family that's been around for quite a while. So they know the waterways, they know how to get in and out, thank goodness, because you wouldn't want me on on the bridge of that ship. Especially with any of going through these locks. Forget that. I'd probably be playing bumper boat as we go through the locks. But yeah, it's a really good product. I'm going to share a screen in just a moment, just show a quick little video. I love to talk, so you're going to hear me talk. I'm not a big picture person of just saying, here you go, here you go. I'd rather basically talk, have some dialogue with you, and basically just talk about, who we are. But I'm just going to give you just a quick little glimpse of what we are as far as basically Viva Cruises from just a quick little intro video. So give me just one moment, and I will get this going for you.
Before you joined, I was just kind of filling them in on the slogan or the motto there being enjoy the moment, and trying to saying how that summer is part of every ship experience that you have.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm just going to get this video going for you, but no, you're absolutely correct. It is enjoy the moment. And quite honestly, Sean, you got it right on the head. It basically allows us to kind of give everybody a really, really good look. Just 1 second. I'll get you going here. Share. Hopefully everyone can see this. And so Scylla is our parent company. So when you see the flag on the ships, that's what it is. Can everyone see the video?
Yes.
Okay.
Good afternoon. Welcome.
So with this ship, this is the Viva 1, which is the sister ship to the Viva 2. You see the interior. It's a lot of light woods, very Scandinavian look and feel of the ships. Um, there is a coffee and tea service in every single stateroom. So these are your balcony cabins. There are about 4 on the ship. The vast majority of the cabins on the ship are going to basically be French balconies. We've got a fitness center and a spa on the Viva 2, on Viva 1, and also the Viva Enjoy that's coming out at the end of this year.
Very cool.
So this is the Riverside restaurant. I'll show you some of the differences on the Viva 2 in particular, which is taking our vessels to another level. But one of the things we do pride ourselves on is really over delivering with the onboard experience. The Viva 2 has 3 restaurants on it. All of them are included in the fare. We don't have any surcharges for any of our restaurants, anything like that. And on the Viva 2, we've got a restaurant called Moments, and I'll show you some pictures of it. But this is an example of high tea time.
Everyone's been raving about the food on board the ship.
And, you know, they're absolutely correct. I can't say enough about it. Okay, so that gives you a little bit of a glimpse as far as the newer ships that we have coming into the fleet. That's the Viva 1. The Viva 2, I'll show you some differences. There are some subtle differences, especially when it comes into where basically our kind of lounge and restaurants join. We've created a little bit of a 2-level concept where we try to open it up. Again, as Sean said, the food is excellent. Our experience on board is we really try to basically give the guest, whether it's obviously someone who's been with us the first time or someone who's basically coming back as far as a loyalty member, they're really a great experience. The onboard team are second to none. From the time you board the ship, they're basically taking you by the hand to your cabin, checking you in, etc. On board the ship, we're very environmentally friendly as well. You'll basically see that you're inside. Once you arrive at the cabin, there are going to be 2 water-filled bottles. These are basically to be refilled throughout the duration of the cruise. There's water stations on the ship, and they have basically both still water, or if you're a fan of sparkling water, we've got it covered there with both of those. They're on the station. You fill those up, you go out for the day on the excursion, you come back, you use it throughout the cruise. It's yours to take home. It really is one of the things. We've kind of eliminated a lot of these single-use plastics on board the ship. The other thing you'll notice about us, when you go into our bar, you'll see that basically there's a bar menu, but there are never any prices in it. What ends up taking place is our all-inclusive aspect is on everything. And when we say everything, we mean everything. So basically, as it stands, premium brands, top shelf brands, whatever the case may be, there is no surcharges for these. So everything's included in it. And again, it's not just a breakfast and lunch type of concept, or rather, I should say lunch and dinner, not breakfast. But basically, as it stands, a lunch and dinner where you just have a select type of wine or beer. For us, it's basically throughout the cruise. Going back to the food, what you'll see with us is we really pride ourselves on really delivering a great culinary aspect. The vessels, we are no larger than 190 guests. Some of the ships are even a little bit smaller than that. So the team on board really concentrates on delivering exceptional experience when it comes to that. Again, there are no surcharges for any dining rooms. You're going to find that the chefs on board are really accommodating to any personal request you have, any special dietary requirements you may have. So they're really great about basically accommodating whatever you need. Our maitre d's on board will really basically just bend over backwards to try to make this happen for you. I wanted to show you just a moment exactly what the Viva 2, some of the differences with some of these cabins that really, and also the public areas that make it exceptional. So give me just one moment real quick, and I'm going to basically bring up just a little bit of some of these pics so you can kind of see. So give me just one second. I'm going to go ahead and share the screen just a moment again.
John, while you're looking that up, we have a bunch of folks that are vegan and some folks that are vegetarian.
Perfect.
So if you want to just let them know, because I had told them it won't be a problem on board the ship.
And you told them correctly. And I'll go through a little bit of that. I wanted to show you real quick as we're going to be talking about the dining room is hopefully you can see this image. This image right here is basically looking down into the dining room. What we've done with the Viva 2, can you see this lounge image? No, sorry. Let's get you here then. Sorry.
He's using two screens.
All right. You see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I'll go into the dining, the menus in just a moment, but basically where we are right here is we've opened the ship up a lot more, being the Viva 2 and the Viva Enjoy. So these two ships, and in particular, obviously the Danube group that you'll be with next year is going to be on the Viva 2. So we really tried to make it open, a very, very light open air feel. So rather than just basically have the dining room and then you leave the dining room and go up to the lounge area, they're interconnected right here with this open flow stairwell. Going back to the question on the dining, we have plenty of vegetarian options. If it's pure vegan, we can also accommodate that as well. Gluten-free and any specialty items that we can basically do with this. You'll find that we actually do some programs with some specialty operators that basically do vegan travel meals. So we have a lot of vegan groups and a lot of vegetarian groups and pescatarians. So you name it, there's always a good option. So definitely vegetarian, we can accommodate with no issues whatsoever. Anything along those lines. So and that's not just basically throwing a few more items on a salad. This is really coming up with some creative items. Normally what you'll see on board, and the good thing about it is the chefs on board really basically, they customize the menus to where you're sailing. So if you're on the Danube versus the Rhine, etc. And what you'll see is every single evening, there'll be some chef suggestions. And one of those suggestions will basically have a full vegetarian menu items. So starting from your appetizer all the way down to the entree. And these will get into some really great vegetarian options as far as your main entree. So again, this isn't going to be where some of the ships in the past just try to put a few more tomatoes on a salad dish. It's nothing like that. We take it very seriously. What you'll find is a lot of the culinary team, quite honestly, many of them have either been trained specifically or a lot of their personal many of them come from Indonesia and a lot of more traditional countries where it's a strict vegetarian menu, so they're very keen on trying to deliver something different with regards to that. So this is the dining venue, as I mentioned, and I'm just going to show you a couple more slides. This right here really represents the vast majority of the cabins on the Viva 2. And what you'll see is this is our first balcony. It's a beautiful cabin. I'll show you the bathroom in just a moment. But again, you're always going to have a bottle of Prosecco as far as to welcome you on board, because we love having our guests come on board. You'll have your own personal coffee maker in the cabin. TVs, there's basically a selection of obviously first run movies, different things like that. In the event that you wanted to spend some time in your cabin, but we're going to keep this a busy itinerary where hopefully that's just something where you're going to change and just kind of reaccommodate for the next day. So this is basically the Viva 2. I'm going to show you some of the other dining. This is basically upstairs, an area we have called Bistro on board the ship. It's a smaller venue. It probably holds about 40 people. So it's the kind of thing, if you're looking for a quiet evening, it's really, and all of our dining rooms are open seating. So you don't have to adhere to a strict schedule. Basically, there is an open seating concept. The largest dining room, Riverside, will hold up to really the full ship. And then we get into a couple of restaurants, this one called Bistro, and I'll show you Moments as well on board the ship. And Moments actually kind of goes into what we were just talking about, basically enjoy the moment. With Moments, this right here, I can't stress enough about this dining experience. This really is a 5-course menu with special pairings for every single course. So it really becomes a nice evening. You certainly have the budget, the time for it, but it's the kind of thing where we take you, our sommelier on board will basically join you for that evening, and they'll really basically take you throughout the whole menu, starting from basically course 1 all the way into the evening as far as your dessert course. So it's a specialty. Again, this is not a surcharge. It's basically included in the price of our total program. And once again, it's a nice evening where if you're with some friends, family, colleagues, etc., it really basically becomes a nice evening to spend a total long evening in that. So this is
I just want to interject there for a second, because guys, a lot of us have been on, different cruise lines where we've gone to kind of that type of experience, and there's always a surcharge for it. And what I think is really interesting is look at the size of the ship and the number of different restaurants that you get to go to, and not all of those with a sit-down service, separate menus, chefs that are actually curtailing the menu to the destinations as well as to your own specialty, your own needs. But that, if you read any of the articles about Viva and that particular restaurant, you will see everybody, all the, you go to any of the review websites for it, everyone's loving it. And what's neat is you have that sommelier coming over and pairing everything with you. And remember, that's all included. You're not paying any extra for any of that. So that's really nice in terms of having that experience.
No, Sean, you're 100% correct, and you're right. I mean, what I think this may come a little bit from more just our European management, and obviously, every single cruise line or hotel company, etc., they certainly obviously have their goals and aspirations on what they try to achieve. I think with us, really, what we try to do is we want to deliver the utmost experience at basically the best value. So rather than trying to inflate prices into specialty restaurants and these type of things, we really just try to basically make it one bundled price. It creates a value. And in particular, obviously, the Americans that are flying over, it's not an inexpensive vacation option. Obviously, the flights to Europe, especially over the last couple of years, have been very, very pricey. We try to keep our cruises in perspective as far as that. We certainly don't find ourselves being the least expensive option nor the most expensive option, but what we do pride is for that price, you're going to get an incredible value. If you look at this particular shot, this is actually looking down into kind of the bar area on the Viva 2. If you notice, it's a very modern ship. The colors, the decor, it's incredible the amount of detail that our interior team has basically put on this ship. As a matter of fact, to kind of basically toot our own horn here, for 2023, it's going through a vote right now. But here in the United States, even though we're not as large as some of the other brands, the Viva 2 has been nominated as one of the river cruise ships of the year as far as a new introduction. And we were completely surprised that it was nominated, and I guess the award will basically be given out sometime in June to July. But yeah, it was a shock for us that we were even nominated because we're just not as well known as the other brands. But back to Sean's point, the reviews have come in so strong on the ship. And every aspect of it, not just the hardware, but really obviously that type of experience. So the video that we showed obviously showed the Viva 1, which is the sister ship. I'll kind of just go through, well, Viva Bistro we briefly talked about as well. I'm going to show you this picture of the Viva Bistro. This onboard Viva 2 is more of a pure seafood option. So for those of you who really enjoy seafood, this is the kind of thing in the evening. You've got quite a range of seafood options. During the day, it's got some really great lunch options, some things kind of beyond the ordinary, some fish and chips and some burger options. So the good thing about the different restaurants that operate during the day is there's enough of a selection to where if you wanted something a little bit more formal, something a little bit more healthier, something a little bit more just casual, some friendly aspect food, the ship really covers it. So bistro
That's
is
nice.
is another option. And once again, going back to what we just talked about, everything is included on this when it comes to that. So that's the great option. I'm just going to show you kind of a little bit of a corridor of the ship so you can really basically see just the flow of the vessel. So you can once again see that's a very modern ship, even basically down to just your public areas walking through the hallways. And this is leading it, looking basically into kind of our reception corridor area. So again, soft carpets as far as your colors, the soft woods on this gives it a really, really nice, beautiful look from a ship perspective. And give me just 1 second. I want to show you just a few more. We talked about moments and we had an angle there. I want to give you a little bit more of moments. Again, this is that 5-course pairing dinner menu. During the day, it is a lunch option. There's breakfast in here as well. So it's the type of thing where it doesn't matter what time of the day as far as basically choosing some different dining venues when it comes to this. And finally, what I'll do is I'm going to show you just a few more shots and kind of talk about basically our experiences here. You know, Americans, we love our kitchens and our bathrooms. These are the things we spend the most money on, renovations, etc. They're important. And just to give you an idea what our bathrooms look like on the Viva 2. So you can see you always have a beautiful glass enclosed shower, a lot of beautiful marbles. Our products on board, we basically work with a European company called Rituals, which is a very high-end onboard product. So everything as far as your shampoos, your conditioner, your soaps, everything once again is a very, very high end. So it just goes into the whole thing where once again we're talking about over delivering on the experience, something you can really basically feel good about. So this is an example of our bathrooms on the Viva 2. And
John, is there a makeup mirror in the bathroom?
There is a makeup mirror. I believe it would be right here if I'm looking at this correctly. There's not necessarily a sitting area in the bathroom,
Right.
but basically as it stands right here, this would be the lighting on it would make it a makeup mirror.
Okay, but nothing that like magnifies?
I don't believe we got a
Okay.
magnifying mirror on it, no.
Okay, thank you.
And this is our reception area. So just to show you the Viva 2 reception area, it's once again, it's a beautiful area, very, very modern. Again, the ship really basically, I think, lives up to why it was nominated as one of the ships of the year for 2023 as far as the newest ship introduction. Cabins, once again, we're looking at mainly French balconies on this. For those that look for just even, lead-in accommodations, you're still going to find the ship has some very comfortable cabins, basically with our kind of what we refer to as our river view, our swan views, for lack of a better term. We see mainly swans swimming out there on the river, but once again, very, very large sitting area. Our cabins average roughly about 180 square feet as an average. Some of the other brands, obviously, what they may do is make a larger suite and then they compress the size of the average cabins down to like 135, 140 square feet. So they really kind of, there's a trade-off as to where you go within the vessel. With us, that's not the case. So we really pride ourselves again on trying to just deliver a great value. When it comes to what the rest of the value includes, we have a shore excursion every single port of call. So we try to ensure that you're, once again, getting a good value. You don't have to budget for what you're going to spend in your excursions, these types of things. There's some good walking tours. There's a combination of tours, some bus tours, depending upon what itinerary. Clearly on the Danube, you're getting into some great destinations, such as Vienna and Budapest, and just going through the whole Danube. So you'll have an excellent opportunity to get those. And with the rest of the onboard product, again, what you'll basically see is those water bottles are included. Headsets are obviously on board the ship for the tours. So it's the kind of thing that we really want to try to ensure that every guest basically is going to have a great time. What you'll see with the makeup of our guests, we are carrying a lot more of Americans. Thank you very much for traveling over with us. So there is a dynamic on board the ship, and we're always very, we make it well known. We are a little bit more international than probably most of the U.S. based river lines. And we think that's a big plus for us. We find that our American guests that are traveling over, they like to have dinner and maybe have a couple of Austrians. We do very well in the Scandinavian countries, so it's not uncommon to have some Norwegians or some Swedes sitting across from you and talking about the world, and obviously trying to figure out what's going on in the U.S. and we're trying to figure out what's going on, and we tell them we don't know what's going on half the time. But yeah, it's you'll see a nice mix of guests on board the ship. Again, the crew on board. They are, I think, one of the best crews when it comes to basically river cruising. The crew reminds me, especially on the Viva 2, you'll find them to be very ocean oriented. And what I mean by that, you have a lot of seasoned crew members. They like to remember guests' names. They like to remember drinks. They like to ensure that you're having a great time. And what we find is a lot of our crew members that have come over from some of the larger ocean ships, they really enjoy the smaller river ships. It gives them an opportunity as well just to be more personable and enjoyable. So we've got a nice mix of crew. You'll find obviously some European crew members. We certainly have a lot of Asian crew members as well. And it's a nice mix, a little bit of a United Nations on board. Officers on the ship, most of them are European. Or should I say all of them are European, but most of them, with the exception of some rivers where we're mandated to have a certain nationality, it's a nice mix of officers on board the ship as well. And they do a great job at really just trying to make sure that every single guest is enjoying the experience. And our hotel staff team, they're second to none. They just really obviously want to continue to showcase things with the guests and ensure that they're having a great experience. So again, Viva 2, the ship that we're going to be sailing on in May, is an exceptional vessel. With its introduction, it's been pretty well received, going back to Sean's point as far as the reviews on it. So knowing that everyone has some personal taste and what they like and they don't like, and clearly sometimes the old adage, you can't please everyone. I think that there's a ship out there, especially within our fleet, that really basically covers the complete spectrum. It's the Viva 2. It's really an incredible ship. And our whole concept of enjoy the moment really basically is guest centric. We ensure that we want to basically ensure that the guests are having a great time, with this. The Viva Enjoy, which will come out later, really is a carbon copy of the Viva 2. So those guests that are experienced in the Viva 2 really basically see exactly where we're going as an organization and the company as far as our build, the decor, the concept being a little bit more open and airy. Our guest makeup, we kind of went through some of the demos from just where they're from. A lot of our age group, to give you an idea, we probably average anywhere. It kind of runs between about a 55 to in the high 60s. So you'll basically see kind of that mid 60 range is basically being an average age. Now, again, that's a broad spectrum. It's certainly not uncommon for us to have some younger guests on. When I say younger guests, in their 30s and 40s, etc. We are not a family product necessarily. We're like most river companies where we don't have any kids facilities on board the ship, so we carry very few kids ever, if any. Where they're not excluded from the ship, you'll find that we just don't have a lot of children on a European river cruise ship with regards to that. So it's for those of you, I don't know if everyone's had a chance to be on a river program. I know Sean can probably write books and Della can write books on your European river adventures. But we really think that if there's one brand that caters to everyone and is a very inclusive product when it comes to that, where no one really feels that it's either too mature of a ship, too immature of a ship, those types of things. I think basically the Viva 2 and us as Viva in particular, we were certainly try to check off the boxes, when it comes to that. So this itinerary that you're going on, I mean, Sean and Della, you guys did a great job at really finding one of the better itineraries. I think the Danube Panorama is one of the best ones out there. Obviously, they're, all Europe rivers are just exceptional. So I don't know that there's a wrong one, but certainly the Danube, I think, is one that just has got obviously a rich history. And let's face it, it's a pillar when it comes into the river industry. And this particular one really covers a lot of great bases. So we're excited at the opportunity to have you come sail with us in May and sail with us on the Viva 2. And I hope everyone is excited as I am about the Viva 2, because it's an exceptional ship. And I know you'll have a great time. So I'd love to hear stories, obviously, when people return from this trip.
I just wanted to ask you, the Viva Enjoy, is that the one that's going to be out in Portugal?
No. That's a good question. The Viva Enjoy is a sister ship to the 2, so it's too large for Portugal.
Oh.
Portugal is going to be a ship called the Porto Marente.
Oh.
So it will be with us in 2025. A little bit smaller. Unfortunately, the Portuguese river, the Porto, we've got to use a smaller ship. So, but that's a good question. The Porto Marente will come out. Actually, it comes out later this year, but we'll officially start sailing with us next year. But yeah,
Do you know what the passenger count's going to be on
that
that
one is about, I believe it's 110 is the passenger
Oh,
capacity.
wow, much small. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. What you see with this, and I know that you both have had a chance to go through some of the locks here, but certain rivers were really restricted size-wise. So Viva 2 is really the maximum size that you can build from a length perspective to go through the locks, and her height basically is where you need to be as well for bridge clearance and any water situations. But yeah, but yeah, Porto Marente would be, it's going to follow the same look and feel, Sean. So what you see as far as this direction with the vessels will really carry over, I think, into the Porto Marente and then subsequent vessels. But yeah, Enjoy is going to be primarily on the Danube as well.
John, I have another question, or actually, I don't know if I'm interjecting too soon.
No,
Say you'll get to that.
please.
We are promoting the French balcony cabins.
Okay.
And could you please go back and just highlight a little more about those? And we didn't do your basic.
Perfect.
My opinion of those are they're great cabins, but I'm tall. I'm 6 feet tall. I can see out that window. When I traveled with somebody who was a little shorter in stature, we had to get a chair, put her up on it to be able to look out the window.
No,
so keep that
sense.
in mind when you're selecting your cabin, that you may or may not be able to really see those swans on the river. Just depends upon if you can see out the window.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up a different look here. I don't know if you can.
That's why we selected the French balcony cabins for options on our.
And it's really, at the end of the day, especially with us, and when I say that, it goes back to the value proposition. There's not a huge jump in price when you think about it.
No.
And considering, this is not a weekend getaway or a 3 or 4 night out of South Florida, for example, or LA. You're flying you're flying across obviously, the Atlantic Ocean. You're going to be spending some time here. So I think the jump up to a French balcony for anyone is a well worth it. To your point, I mean, Della, what's going to take place here is these cabins are about 180 square feet. The French balcony is incredible when you can open your door, and everyone that I know sometimes French balcony versus balcony, a little bit of a clarification on it, but basically, obviously, these doors will open completely to the side. It allows some, especially that time of year, you're going to have some beautiful weather, flowing in. So yes, now the bathrooms will look very similar to what we just showed just a minute ago. I'm going to continue to come back here and show again what the balcony looks like. You've got 3 glass panels here, so it is pretty good size as well. Again, you'll have your sitting area as well.
We're not seeing that, just so you know.
Oh, sorry. I guess when I switched.
There you go.
Yeah. So again, and these cabins, these beds obviously could be separated if needed. But what you see here is you're going to have 3 glass panes. It really basically is a nice wide cabin. So the views are incredible. Having the ability to open it is incredible. You do have a sitting area. You have a mini bar that's stocked as well, daily, with any soft drinks and beer items within it as well that would be needed. So it's a very, very comfortable cabin. Back to Della's point, unless there was some particular reason why you would want one of the entry-level cabins, there's not a huge difference. That I think would just be a personal opinion, for anyone for whatever reason. But I think you're 100% correct, Della. The French balconies are pretty much the way to go. It showcases is just beautiful, and it's incredible. River cruising, for those who have never done it, when we talk about it versus like an ocean cruise, for example, it's so different. Even when you're just sitting up in the lounge and just having either a coffee, a tea, or a drink, whatever the case may be, you're really basically watching the countryside go by in most cases. Incredible homes, castles, vineyards. It's a little bit different than a day at sea, just sailing between islands, either in the Caribbean or wherever in the world that ocean ship would be going. So also to basically sit there in your cabin sometimes and just open and see this world going by, that is incredible. Remember the cities in Europe, this is exactly what the rivers were initially. They were the highways. This is exactly how people and cargo and merchants, etc., traded on the river. So you see some beautiful highlights. And to your point, Della, I don't know any beyond just a personal reason why a French balcony wouldn't be the best option for a guest. So it's especially on this ship. French balconies, as I mentioned, on some of the other brands, begin to take a little bit of a size hit to accommodate the larger suites, and that's not the case with us. So they stay very, very good size with regards to that.
John, on your on the website, I know I've seen it. I'm trying to find it, but I couldn't find it. There's pictures of that, basically those 3 panels with the curtain pulled back, so you can kind of see how long it is. And I know Callie would like to see how long it is.
Probably something like this. Let me show it. Can you see that shot, Sean?
No.
No, not yet.
No, not yet.
Okay.
There we go. Yes, that's the exact picture I had. Yes.
Okay.
So
yeah, back to your point, the 3 panels, the cabins are exceptional in size, and to your point with the 3 panels, it really gives you a great exceptional view.
I mean, this is much larger than what most river cruise ones look like, to be blunt.
Yep. You're absolutely correct. As I mentioned, I think the way the industry has gone, and good, bad, or indifferent, that's for everyone else to decide. But they've really basically reduced a lot of the French balconies and standard cabins down for the sake of just a few larger suites. And that's great, obviously, if you're going into one of the suites. However, the French balconies are really basically the core of our product line, and I think a lot of the other ones as well. So, we try not to penalize anyone when it comes to that. So you're right, Sean. Our French balconies, I think, are some of the largest in the industry.
I'm going to share another horror story, but a fact.
Okay.
It's wonderful to have those windows open, especially at night when you want to sleep and just wake up and look out and see the wonderful banks go by. But you can wake up in the morning and your vessel could be docked with another ship, literally piggyback, because sometimes you have to walk from your vessel through another vessel to get into the dock. So don't be surprised if someone's right there looking in at you. So I mean, as could or could not have happened to me. I'm not going to, get there, but yeah, it's wonderful.
Della,
but
I don't know. You said that, and 7 people booked the cruise on the website.
what they might see. Yeah. So that was kind of a, yeah, I left it open one night because we were going through the locks and I wanted to, watch it because it takes a long time to go through the locks.
Sure.
And I'm nosy, so I'll doze and wake up and doze and wake up. And next time I woke up and I'm like, oh, hello. So on that note, they don't warn you about that.
No, Della's correct. And that's happened to me as well. I have to share a story on that as well. So that's happened to me. It's like when you go to sleep in the evening and, back to Della's point, it's until you've done this, it's really hard to describe, but these vessels are built almost perfectly to go through these locks. So when you go through the locks in the evening, for example, and there's a series of locks, obviously, on some of these rivers. So you'll go through 2 or 3 sets in an evening. You open this door, and I mean, the lock wall is right next to your cabin.
Touch it.
So exactly, you can kind of reach out and touch it. And everyone warns you, hey, make sure your arms aren't out there. But so out of curiosity, you do that. And you kind of start to see the lock wall and it's like, wow, this is great. You see yourself rising or obviously going down if you're going down in the lock. But yeah, you certainly need to remember before you go to bed at nighttime, just make sure you close that curtain. And otherwise, you're right. Next thing you know, you wake up. And you got a new best friend right across your window in another ship.
Whatever it takes.
It's like, hey, good morning. You're like, okay.
I got Prosecco.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave a tip going.
It becomes, wow, this is a very friendly environment, isn't it? So no, that's a great point to make. And
then John, can you show the level, like the ship, so we can explain the 3 levels and why there's, I don't know if you have a picture of the deck diagram.
I'm sure you want to look at a deck plan or an outside.
A deck plan where they can see, the entry level cabins and then the next 2.
Oh, sure. Give me just 1 second. I'm actually going to bring up the actual deck plan.
And we're talking about these docks for those locks. For those that don't know, it's kind of like anytime you go on these river cruises, typically you end up going through locks similar to the way you would in the Panama Canal.
Mm-hmm.
So the ship has to rise and fall.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to bring up a deck plan real quick of the Viva 2 in particular, so you can kind of see, and it'll show that. Give me just 1 second. Okay, so here's a kind of a deck plan.
Not sharing it.
No, not sharing. Okay, hold on a second. No, wait, not. Okay, there we go. So this is kind of an overview, an aerial view of the ship per se, as far as breaking down the decks. Quite honestly, most river ships, including us, are really going to be 3 decks and then basically a top deck, a sun deck. So what ends up taking place, these are the cabins, obviously, that we talked briefly about, and Della is 100% correct, unless there's just some kind of personal reason. Your French balconies are going to be completely here on deck 2 and also deck 3. So you'll have your French balconies on deck 2 and also in deck 3. So what takes place here is as the ship basically goes up and down through the locks, and remember, the river connects to so many different aspects of different countries and also even into different rivers. So it's imperative that the ship does not go past a certain length. Now, most of us, as far as builders, we will take that right up to the limit. And this is why these cabins will glide completely next to those locks. And those locks will go up and down. If you've ever seen locks, whether it's in the Panama Canal or obviously river systems, etc., really basically it's going to either go extremely up as far as height or it'll go down depending upon if we're decreasing as far as just the water level and going into a lower level. But yeah, the French cabins on deck 2 and 3 are incredible. The sun deck, and I'll get a picture of the sun deck just real quick for you. But basically, as it stands, this is a deck that really everything kind of just accommodates to go under the bridges. So let me can give you a little bit of a glimpse here of the ship. So this obviously is an outside view of the ship. These are those river view cabins. Your French balconies are on deck 2, if you can see that, and also onto deck 3. And they will typically run from just before the middle of the ship all the way back. For us, this is going to be our dining room and lounge area. The bistro restaurant that we talked briefly about, being the smaller restaurant that serves as a seafood restaurant in the evening, is at the extreme rear of the ship. So it gives you beautiful, beautiful views from the back of the ship. We put no cabins back there. We know that some lines do, but we prefer to have a beautiful viewing area for the guests from that particular dining room. As you can see, the sun deck, those sunshades will come down. Railings will come down to help go underneath any of the bridges as we go through. So yes, these French balconies, you need to be extremely careful having your arms out as we go through those locks. But this is the Viva 2 from the outside. This circle area, just as a point of reference, is really basically the same on both sides, and this is the entrance to the ship. So as I think Sean and Della both mentioned, if you've never been on a river ship, one of the things that surprises a lot of people is because of many of the cities that we go into, they're smaller cities. A lot of them are obviously older, historic cities. So it's not uncommon that the vessels kind of raft up against each other and tie up against each other. So it may be, for instance, that we are the one that basically is right on the dock, and another vessel, whether it's a Viva ship or any other ship, is tied up right next to us and has to walk through our ship and vice versa. So kind of an interesting little thing. You don't really see that in the Caribbean, obviously, with a Royal Caribbean ship docking up against a princess ship of anything like that. So kind of unique to the river in that aspect when it comes to that. But yeah, this is Viva 2, and Viva 2 and Viva Enjoy and even Viva 1 obviously look very, very identical from the back. This is the longest you can build a ship. So I know there's some terminology out there that some brands use, whether they call it a super ship or a long ship or these types of things. River is a little bit different. We don't have the ability to build these massive ship structures, obviously, like the ocean guys do, where I think they're trying to race to see who can carry the most passengers. Before you know it, they'll be carrying 10,000 guests. Who knows? That's the one good thing about the river is it's going to be much more of a closer, intimate atmosphere. And again, we're going to some of the most historic places in Europe, which makes it exciting.
John, I have another question about the sun deck.
Sure.
Is there a smoking area up there for like cigar smoking or anything?
Toward the rear of it, yes, we do.
And then we tended to kind of flock up there after dinner because that's kind of where the party continued.
Sure.
Until, I mean, especially depending upon where you are on the river.
Right.
If there's going to be no bridges, they let you kind of stay out there pretty late. There's bar service.
Sure.
And then in the afternoon, when you first come back after your excursions, most people flock up there because it's so beautiful.
It is.
I will remind people that the time of year we're going, it can be kind of chilly at night. So make sure you pack a jacket if that's where you want to hang. But I was going to say, I've probably spent 80% of my time on the ship up on the sun deck, day and night.
No, Dell, it's a good point. The way Viva 2 is, like many of the other ships, right by basically the wheelhouse on this ship, there are some panels. So if you wanted to try to get a little bit of wind protection, but you're right. May can be a little unpredictable. There are some times where we see some incredible weather. So with that being said, you've got some great sun deck areas. This photo doesn't really do a lot of justice, but there is a small kind of little wading pool in the back here. So if it's a nice hot day and you wanted to just jump in a little bit of water after maybe walking in some of these historic ports, that's an option. But Della's 100% correct. It's not uncommon, especially if it's a nice evening. We just encourage people to get out there as well and really have a great time and enjoy it. And some of the sites are incredible. I mean, some of the ports, obviously, we could be coming in during the evening as well. So it's incredible. I mean, you pull into Budapest in the evening, it's a sight. People love to be out on the deck seeing it. So it is a great area. Back to Sean's point real quick as well. When you take a look at those 3 panels, it really basically kind of gives you an idea what these cabins are on the side. They're really good size when you take a look at how much space they obviously take up there on the ship. So Viva 2 is an exceptional ship. I can't stress that enough. So you'll hear me say that every time I get a chance. She's an exceptional ship, and there's a reason why even a Mark, it's getting such really basically great reviews. So I think you're going to have a great time on this ship. And that sun deck is very, very nice. Here's a nice ship obviously going through. I'm trying to see if this is an image of basically the main dining room riverside. So you can kind of get an idea of basically the decored riverside. Once again, very soft patterns, a lot of blues on the Viva 2. We tend to try to carry a little bit of a unique element to the ships, whether it's a blue or a soft green. So Viva 2's element is a little bit of a blue tint to it. This is that area that I mentioned to you. This is actually basically the upstairs lounge area. So this gives us a better view of it. This is the bar, and then this is the restaurant. So it's the type of thing as it stands. It really basically, especially during the day and going into evening, it's a very open air concept as far as from a light perspective. She's not a dark ship, not a lot of dark woods. Certainly much more of I think a little bit more modern, contemporary Scandinavian feel when it comes to that. This is Moments, to give you an idea, and this is Bistro. So you see that blue concept. I think we already saw this image. This, once again, is going to give you a little bit larger stateroom look and feel. This one that we saw. This is our welcome, basically, the spa. Again, this is probably, when I tell people how inclusive we are, where you really don't have to take a wallet, this is probably the spa and maybe a gift shop if you wanted to buy a cap or some type of jacket. That's the only time you're really going to be basically spending money on our vessels. Our program isn't designed, as I mentioned before, to be a revenue producing model on board. Our ticket is what we pride ourselves on. So the spa is really going to basically give you a nice element to that.
And guys, just so you know where we're going on ours, I've kind of put it in the group chat there, but one of the nice things is that we actually do overnight in Budapest. So it is going to be truly spectacular, but starting out in Passau. And I can tell you, if I go back to, oh, I think I have to do it this way, don't I? And is it going to let me? It's this one. We'll find out in a second. That's it. Did I do it?
It was beginning.
Nope, I'm not. I'm on the wrong one. I am on the wrong one. Look at that. Did it work? No, it did not move. Okay, so I have learned that when that happens, you just stop your share and then start all over again.
And while he's doing that, I know everybody's reading and birthday bash. This is a belated birthday for my sister. So that's how we kind of came up with this. And I knew she would enjoy this. And
so I can't get the stuff. Okay.
Hence where it came up. So that's where the birthday bash is.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Very good.
There we go. There we go. And has anyone ever noticed that when they do this, if they ever try to like blow up a screen or anything like that, the chat, what happens is whatever box you have to go to, that's where the video suddenly decides to display. Where is the... Here we go. So for our cruise here, just so everybody knows, along the same lines as Viva, we try to make everything all inclusive. So we know that if we're flying over, listen, we want to make sure that we get there the day before. We do not want to fly in and go straight to the cruise. Too many times, especially this year, there has been chaos with airfare, and we've had people actually get on board the plane and not actually take off until the next day because when they're trying to get to Europe. So it's completely random anymore. So what we've done here is our package includes several things. One of the things it does include is a night in the city before we take off. So includes our hotel stay, and includes breakfast the next morning. We also have arranged for everyone to have a museum tour for that glass museum that is in the city. Again, it's the largest glass museum there, and it's attached pretty much right to the hotel where we're staying. So it's going to be pretty easy for everybody to actually enjoy the stay and see it. The other thing, oh wow, I don't know what I did, but you know what? It's going to be one of those days on it. So as Della was pointing out, we don't have any of the lower deck here. Our cabins are all French balconies,
Right.
for the most part, or I think exclusively, right?
Yes.
We also have included, just so you know, not only do we have that hotel stay, but we also have included, as we do on on all of our tours, trip protection. So, and we don't think anything's going to go wrong, but at the same time, with everything that's been happening in the news lately and all the changes that have taken place, look what just happened in the Bahamas with some U.S. citizens being stranded there. We always leave trip protection on board. So that means you have up to $1 million of emergency evacuation for whatever reason we need, whether it's for medical or whether it's political civil unrest, or just there's a natural disaster or anything. We always make sure that that's attached to all of our cruises as we do them. Or all of our tours that we operate. Again, so including your night stay, on the Viva 2 at the hotel, the Viva 2 in the Ruby aft, it's going to be $28.95 per person. And is it letting me go? For those who would like to stay on the Ruby deck, including your hotel stay, it's only going to be $3,050 per person. That includes your hotel, as well as the museum tour and breakfast, and of course everything on board the ship. And if you're on the Diamond deck, it's only going to be $32.95. This is going to be truly spectacular for you. We have some other add-ons for those this is what I would recommend, that you actually fly in actually 2 days early, because there's a lot to do in the city. So if you want to add a hotel stay on for one additional night, it's only another $100. So you really can't beat that price to be able to stay over at a 4 or 5-star hotel. And Della, did you want to add anything else into these? So sure.
Nope. I think you covered it.
That's it.
Of course, we still have other things that we're contemplating adding, later additions.
And then and I want to, because I'm mindful of the time and I see where there is. Does anybody have any questions that we haven't asked? I know that a few of you were texting me stuff. And we've answered them. John, we've actually answered a bunch of text questions. Okay. Believe it or not, most of ours actually related to the doors, the French balconies, and food.
Okay, well, I think we showed obviously.
That well.
We know our people well.
Yeah. I think we got a good view of the doors. So hopefully.
Yeah. No, we've answered all those. So that's what I'm saying. We've answered all the questions that I have here. Does anybody have anything else?
What are the dates? Sorry.
Oh, Della. Dates for the cruise.
May 24 to May 31, 2025 is the actual cruise.
Okay.
So remember, when you work on your airfare and your dates, you do fly all night long, arrive the next day. So take that into consideration. So you want to stay in your hotel the 22nd and 23rd. So you want to arrive the morning of the 22nd, which means you're going to be flying the 21st. So let's say it's the 21 through the 31.
Yeah. And you're flying into
Munich. Yeah. And Passau is about 2-hour drive.
Yeah, about a 2-hour drive.
We are working on some transfers. So there's like I said, there's other inclusions that you'll see on the pricing sheet.
Now, the beautiful thing about Passau and Munich, I mean, they're in Bavaria. So if you think about those images we see of Germany, and clearly as Americans, we just think of the Oktoberfest and those type of images. Yeah, that's Bavaria. So I mean, where you're flying into, and quite honestly, Sean and Della is absolutely correct. If you could come in a day or two early and really see Passau, Passau is a quintessential kind of little Bavarian town, and so much to do around it. It would just add to the whole experience in that aspect.
And I put in the chat box, so anyone who wants to check it out, we actually have our page up for our tour. Keep in mind, our tour is different than the actual than what is on the cruise line's website, and that's simply because we've added other things in. And when you go to it, you'll see that we did pretty well on pricing on being able to cover hotels and everything else for essentially the same price that it is online.
Yep.
So at the cruise line. So,
and I will tell you about someone who basically sees a lot of obviously our competitors out there, etc. What Sean and Della did to include the tours and also to include insurance. I can't stress the insurance portion of it is an incredible value. Because you know, we don't think about it, but obviously as it stands, anything could happen, and it's Murphy's law. What can happen will happen, and there's nothing worse than being so far from home and having something take place.
it could be horrible, especially if you decide that you want to walk down the stairs in Greece, in Santorini, rather than go ahead and pay €10 for the
20.
damn donkey ass.
20.
I
Yeah.
think there's a story there that we all should hear.
I don't know about it, which anyone's speaking. Do you,
He was-
Scott?
He was feeling sorry for the donkey. Come on.
It was just right there. 2 miles later.
I guess the funicular wasn't working. Oh, Lord. Okay.
All right.
No, we will have it up. We'll have this up online tomorrow.
It will,
Correct.
right. We'll upload it tonight. So it will debut tomorrow morning by 8 a.m. You'll be able to actually review these. I will, of course, email the link to everybody. I'll also email a link to all the people that registered for this. Our last registration was 67. I don't know how that's going to work for Della's folks, though, just because I understood. I don't know if they'll be able to do the link to be able to find this on YouTube, but you know, Della, maybe you can go visit them or
I'll
something.
walk them through it.
Okay, yeah. So we'll be able to get that over for them.
It works so well.
Yeah, it's so
Well,
we have a history here, John, with Della's people always having technology problems.
Well, I just
Hey.
want to say a big thank you to everyone that took the time this evening. And
Thank you,
Sean
John.
and Della, thank you very much for considering us in this whole equation. You know, we're extremely excited and proud to be, you know, kind of a part of this whole model that you put together, and we're proud to have the Viva 2 be a showcase ship for it.
And
Thank
for
you,
those
John.
that asked, yes, we are looking at charters with Viva for next year. So I do want to put that out there. One of the things that we did talk about with John was actually, and they've done a lot of different types of themed cruises as well, I want to point out. So that's really nice, is that they've done that. I mean, last year, some of you saw it, we had we did have a couple of people go last year in February, I think it was the end of February they had, or actually, I'm sorry, this year. At the end of February, they had an LGBTQ family and friends cruise. We also are looking at potentially doing something and potentially doing a charter even during Pride, not this year, but next year. So that's all stuff that's kind of coming down the loop. I know some of you are interested in charters, so I wanted to make sure that you knew that before we went much further.
Thank you. Appreciate that plug.
But come experience before then so you can talk it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
gonna be a
thank
great
you guys.
trip.
Thank you very much, John.
Thank you. Everyone have a great evening.
Everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing you on the ship.
Thank
I'll be
you.
there.
All right,
Thanks.
bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
And-
Bye.